Good morning. It's Friday, March 6, 2015. My name is Josh Evans, Vice President of Government Relations with IARF, and we're filming this week's IARF Weekend Session on location at the Illinois State House. We're going to start off this week with everybody's favorite segment, Bill Count. I can report that as of today, which is past the introduction deadline, there have been 6,219 bills, 448 resolutions, and 115 joint resolutions filed. We certainly hope these long lists of items narrow down substantially after the March 27th committee deadline. That is the committee deadline in both the Senate and the House, under which all bills have to get out of committee before they're referred back to the House Rules or the Senate Assignments Committee, and for all intents and purposes can be considered, I guess, dead for the remainder of session. On a sad note, I have to report to everyone this is the last installment of everybody's favorite segment, Bill Count. We're going to replace that starting next week with Question with Random State House Person. We hope to ask a question with legislators and others that impacts the provision of community-based services and supports as it pertains to, you guessed it, State House activities. In the meantime, we're going to start a semi-regular segment, one that I think everyone around the state will be a fan of, and that is Thoughts and Considerations with Cyrus Winnett. So without further ado.
Hello everyone, and thank you, Josh. For this first installment of Thoughts and Considerations, I'd like to focus on the budgeting process here in the State House, which has really begun with agencies already providing testimony on the governor's introduced budget to both chambers, the Senate and the House. But most importantly, for IARF members and other community-based agencies, there will be upcoming budget hearings focused on the Department of Human Services budget. The first will be Monday, March 16th with the Senate Appropriations 1 Committee in Chicago at the Blandick Building, followed Thursday, March 19th, with the House Appropriations Human Services Committee. I would just like to stress to everyone the importance of compiling, assessing, and being prepared to share impact data that will be used in grassroots advocacy efforts to show your concern and the impact of the governor's introduced budget on your agencies, and most importantly, the people you serve and who rely on your services. Expect IARF to begin initiating grassroots advocacy efforts focused around the budget and focused around that impact data, leading up to the upcoming Human Services Appropriations and Senate Appropriations Committees focused on DHS budget, and expect that effort to continue throughout the spring legislative session, possibly into the summer, as we begin to work on the budgeting process in more earnest as we continue. Josh?
Thanks, Cyrus, for those thoughts and considerations. And I agree with you, and I would add weight to that. As we begin to see some of the impact data from our member agencies, which the association will aggregate and publish after next Monday, March 9th, some of the proposed cuts in the governor's budget, many of the proposed cuts, are very dangerous and, based on the data we're seeing, could have the effect of destabilizing the community system. Not good, folks, and we're all, those of you watching in the General Assembly, those of you in IARF membership and non-membership, and the public, we're going to have to work very hard this spring to get to a different outcome than what was proposed back in February. A couple other items we want to get to. One substantive item. I'm pleased to report that there has been some action with respect to ABLE account legislation. Folks will recall Congress last year authored legislation that would establish ABLE accounts for individuals with disabilities that are presented under age 26, to where folks can make tax-deductible donations to these ABLE accounts, where individuals can begin having their own funds to save to spend on their long-term services and support needs. There have been no less than 5 bills filed in the Illinois General Assembly, 4 over in the House, 1 in the Senate, to establish ABLE accounts. I'm pleased to report that in addition to our regular contact since January with the Treasurer's Office, we've spoken with 4 of the 5 sponsors this week. Those 5 sponsors are Representative Patty Bellock, Representative Laura Fine, Representative Kelly Burke, Representative Bob Pritchard, and on the Senate side, Senator Scott Bennett has introduced legislation. Next week, we expect to hear with the leads on those legislation, as well as the Senator's Office, to open up some discussions with external organizations such as IARF and others, so we can begin to really lay some groundwork to advocate for the passage of an ABLE Act bill this spring. Very excited about the possibilities for individuals with disabilities in this legislation, and very happy on behalf of IARF to work towards a positive outcome there. Last thing we want to talk about is we want to remind folks that On Wednesday, April 22nd is the IARF Spring Meeting Advocacy Day. Mark it on your calendars. Make sure you're able to make the trip to Springfield. We want to do better, even better than we did last year, where we had over 110 agency executive directors, staff, DSPs, and individuals served across the state to come to Springfield to advocate on behalf of community-based services and supports. So with that, we're going to wrap up this week's session and review and look for us to be filming on location next week. Bye.